Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you're well. I'm Aaron Wiltshire, Head of Event Strategy here at ETOA. I will just give everybody a few moments to arrive so that we're all here. Just as a starter in that time, I'm just going to launch a quick poll just to kind of gauge what people have done in the past in China. So if you can see on your screen at the moment, I'm just going to ask, is this your first mission to China? I think most of you, you're very experienced in this market, but it's quite useful to know from the perspective of organisers what kind of information we should be providing to. I think we've placed this event at people who have got some experience, and this is a very efficient way of doing some quick business in China ahead of ITB China. So as I can see, you've got 75% of you have voted in, and we're about 2/3 to a third. 2/3 haven't done an event in China before. So it's not your first mission in China, rather. So a third of you, this may be your first time, either as an individual or on behalf of your company. So thank you for those results. The second one, as I said, this is just to keep to get some more audience in if they're only just joining us. Have you evented one of ETOA's own workshops in Europe? We do events in London and a number of other European cities. Have you attended one of our own ones, or one of the events that we organised in China and the US via the Bridge Tourism or partnerships in European tourism? So that was over the last 2 to 3 years. We've been doing events on behalf of the European Commission. And as I'll say in a minute, we're really venturing on to do some of our own commercial events in the Chinese market and potentially other markets going forward. So as I can see, most of you have been to one of our events or one of the events managed by us. So this is good news for us. Obviously, we've done a good job and you're coming back to work with us again. So thank you very much for the poll, and there's a good number of you here now. So I just wanted to provide a quick introduction to the China-European marketplace. Why we've done it, as I said, over the last 2 to 3 years, we have been delivering events in China for the European Commission. We've done those in Shanghai, Beijing, Chengdu, Macau. Given the success of those, which were obviously funded events, so the dynamic is a little bit different. People could apply and then they're accepted onto those missions or not. We saw great potential for our ETOA members and the companies we work for to do a commercial event in that. So we looked at the competition and really thought that this model of what we're delivering at SEM, as we call it, is a good match for our members. So we obviously looked to our partners. We have a very good working relationship with the European Travel Commission, who represent the national tourist boards across Europe, and with our partners ITB China. So obviously ITB Berlin is the most important travel fair in the world. Their additions in Shanghai over the last few years have proven to be a very good point of interest for Europeans going over to China to do business. It's well placed in the travel trade calendar. So we're working with them. We're doing our event the day before. So on Tuesday the 14th of May, we'll have our event, and then the day after you'll have access to ITB China. Your badge for our event will be your ITB China badge. So we'll register you for that with your registration information that we have for the China-European marketplace, and we'll provide you with that, and then you'll have access beforehand to the online systems. I should have said there is a question and answer function on the webinar. So if you have any questions arising, I think we're comprehensive in terms of what we want to speak about today, but just use either the chat function or the question function and submit any questions that come up throughout the webinar. And we'll either do those throughout if they're personal, or wait till the end when we'll cover those. Just let me know also if you have any technical difficulties, the chat function there will highlight that to me. So without further ado, I just want to go over the format. Obviously, a lot of you said that you've done these things before. We will be starting at 9 o'clock. We're at the Hilton Doubletree Shanghai in Pudong. We'll start registration from 8 o'clock and then on from 9 o'clock, and we have 30 appointment slots throughout the day. The buyers will be seated, so the Chinese operators attending are going to be seated, and the suppliers will walk around the room. That's the setup we use mostly for our events, and it's proven itself over the last 25 plus years. So that's what we're going to do. There'll be coffee breaks and lunch provided throughout the day, and then the day itself will end with a drinks reception sponsored by Europass. You may be aware of them. I'll send their link around afterwards. You can have a look at that company. They've kindly supported this event in its first edition. There should be an interesting company for any European suppliers looking really to promote themselves into the Chinese markets. So that will be at the end of the day, for around an hour or so, just after the workshop itself. It'll be very well signposted at the venue, so you'll find us, but we'll have our contact details for the team who are going to China. So as I said, if you have any questions, do shout if you have them now. You'll have all been sent access to the appointment system for this event. I'm just going to quickly walk you through this, just in case you've not seen it before. I will share my screen with you. I've been set up as a mock participant in this event, so you should be able to see currently my login screen now. So you will have been sent, you have until this Friday to submit your appointment requests. So you have your confirmation number and the link to this portal. If you just copy that in and log in, what you get to see is the list of the buyers attending. Clear instructions and filters on who will be there. So as you can see on the left-hand side, you'll have the full list of the tour operators in alphabetical order. This is important. Don't just click from the top, because when they go onto the right-hand side, that is an order of preference. So they'll be matched on the basis of how high they are up. So don't take particular care to make sure that once you've selected them, that you put them in order of preference. It's based on preferences. So as you can see, you've got the company which you can filter based on certain fields that we've tagged. Then you can view their description, visit their websites. If you're happy with them, you can click Add. Do that similar. Let's pick Europass, one of our sponsors. Here you can click up to put them as your #1 choice. So this system is open until Friday, and you can, even if you've had a look, we haven't really added any more buyers because we've got a nice cap of 60, a nice round number for the event. But you can go in there and reconsider your options or reassess the order of priority if you've missed that particular point. So that's the appointment system, open till Friday. Once we've done that provisional matching, there'll be some, we'll do the initial flush of matchmaking. You'll receive your provisional appointments, which will allow you to prepare for your meetings. Your very final appointment will be on the day itself. So make sure not to strictly follow the provisional appointments, prepare in principle for those meetings, but on the day itself, stick to those the meetings that you have on the day itself, just in case there's been any last minute tweaks or changes which can occur. In terms of the scale of the event, as I said, we have 60 buyers, and they represent a really good range of operators, not only from Shanghai and that region, but from throughout China, which is thanks to our partnership with ITB China. We've got people coming in from further north, from the west, and from Canton and the south as well. So it's a good spread representative of the Chinese market, from leisure to FIT, and then some MICE in there as well. There are 80 European suppliers attending, and that's a mix between people coming over from Europe and Chinese-based representation, or people full-time for those companies in China. That will mean with the 30 slots, you're very much likely to have between 20 or 21 appointments during the day. So there'll be a nice spread throughout that, which is a good day of matchmaking before the event. So it's a nice, efficient way of doing business for a short time in China. And so, as I said, do shout if you've got any questions about how the appointment system works itself, and then I'll be more than happy to answer those for you. In terms of preliminary stuff, as I see some people haven't been to China, we did a package option for this event. So some of you will have, the majority have only bought access to the workshop. So when putting together this event, we understood that a lot of you will have had experience, will be able to pick your own hotels, etc. So we wanted to put forward a competitive option for you to attend this event. That means you don't have any of the additional support, but I just wanted to flag now that we do have package options which will include visa invitations, transfers, accommodation, etc. So if you haven't sorted that out yet and have only got the workshop only package, do get in touch with us so that we can provide those extra links for you. So it may be on ad hoc basis, or if you just want to upgrade to the package, then that's something we can do. I need to stress, get your visa sorted and flights done as soon as possible. These things have got a horrible tendency to pop up with a delay. So if you're not sure of the process, just ask us and we can advise on that. But please do sort out your visa and flights as soon as possible. Also, in terms of event support before going to China, please do sort out a WeChat account. I will send out you my contact details on WeChat, so that will be my main point of contact during the day. It'll be myself and 3 other people from ETOA attending, who I'll introduce very shortly in a second. They're here if you have any further questions. We've got our partner Select Holding, who will provide, as I said, the hotel transfer and any visa support required further by any participants. We're not providing translators wholesale for the event participants. That's selected by the operators themselves. So the people who say, okay, that they're maybe not as proficient as they might be in English, which will be the working, unless it's a Chinese representation, English will be the working language. It's up to the buyers to have said, I need extra system. That said, we will have some floating support just in case that we've got any issues. So from my perspective, it's short and sweet. I'm just here if you have any further questions in the run up to the event. I hope that's been a helpful introduction, and obviously you'll get to recognize my face if we haven't met before when we're in China. So if we bump into each other beforehand, then do shout and introduce yourself. So as I said, if you click on the question function, some people did submit some questions beforehand, which I hope to have covered already in content. Please do submit those now. There's no silly questions. But if not, I can leave it at that. As I said, this is nice, short and sweet. We just like to provide this service beforehand, so we can get some kind of online FaceTime before the event itself. Most importantly, let us know if you haven't received your appointment request email. The deadline for that is Friday, so please, please, please submit them. The system works much better if you've taken the time to consider your options first and then put them in order of preference. And likewise, we're pursuing the buyers to make sure that they have done the same on their side, and then we'll produce a day of good events. So we'll all have WeChat on when we're in China. We're arriving at the weekend previous to that, so we'll be around at the venue from the day before, setting up for a 8 AM registration start on Tuesday the 14th. 2 of our staff will then be at ITB following the event in and around the stand, which is run by the European Travel Commission at the show. So I've had a few comments. Okay, so I've got some saying that there are 30 appointment slots, which is correct, and you only get 15 preferences. So likewise, both the buyers and suppliers get 15, and in combination, and then based on the other information you provided us, that's how we build the day of appointments. So don't worry, you will have more than 15 appointments. It's just that the way the algorithm works, which we've developed completely from ETOA's requirements and experience throughout the years, that's the best way of doing it, and it provides a balance, because obviously we need to take into account the preferences not only of who the suppliers want to meet, but who best suits the operators attending as well. So there are 15 choices, but they get topped up with either the buyers asking for you, and as I said, we fill everyone up from their top preferences down, and then were there any gaps in terms of people that perhaps there is a mutual area of interest that the system highlights. With ITB making the appointments, you'll be there as trade visitors. I will, as I said, we're going to submit everybody's details very shortly to ITB. Then you'll have access with that badge number to go onto the system, and you can see who's attending. Shortly, I'll be sending out a handout, which I'll actually do right now. That's got a few links that everyone can see. ITB China, that's the exhibitors at least. Once you have your badge list, you may be able to see a bit more information on there. The link to the Europass, the sponsors of our drinks reception, and the appointment system if you've mislaid it. Oh, and there was an issue about somebody couldn't hear what I said about the translator. We have initially offered translating services only to the buyers, because obviously they're the ones who typically need that. But I will take your note there, Rachel, and get back to you in case you want to take one yourself. We can provide that information for you, but it's more economic for everybody's sake if the buyers hire the translator if they require one, because then that covers everybody they're going to meet with. So Rachel will send the information, but that's the way we're going to do it. Okay, thank you for your questions. I'll give you a last chance to submit any further ones. I hope the people who have submitted questions that I did that effectively. I have got my team with me here who will be in there, so I'll just spin the camera around and they'll wave so you know who they are. Just so we have Magdalena, who I'm sure a lot of you have spoken to. She's in charge of the event sales. This is Elisa Lee, who's in charge of China market managers. And then we have Sada, who's our head of operations for the events, and she's organising all of the setup of the day and the operations of that. Just one last question from Beverly. Will we be given a list of the other supplying? Yes. For this event particularly, we will not be doing a printed directory, but we will be producing an online one, which will be ready before the event itself. So we'll send that out, so you'll get to see in advance who your European colleagues are attending. We went with the digital option just because, whereas it's nice to have directories, if you're flying back and forth to China, having a giant great book maybe isn't great, but everyone's listings and subscriptions will be in there, and we'll get that out way before the event. Okay. Again, thank you for your time. I hope this has been useful. The recording will be sent out, so if you missed a bit, then we can catch up there. But that's great, and we'll see you in China. Thank you very much.